G'day headbangers and welcome to Dozers Metalworks. Welcome back my fellow headbangers. Gee, what a week it's been. Brand new Judas Priest album out and everything. I will review that on a later date. But anyway, back to a normal countdown this week, and we are doing the wonderful year, is it really wonderful though, 2007. So I want to start off with a couple of honourable mentions. I listened to the albums a couple of times, but no real lock-in track, so to speak. First one is a band that only ever released one album. The band's called Sanctity, and the album is called Road to Bloodshed. The one song they released as a single off it was called Beneath the Machine. But I'll tell you what, it's one hell of a banger of a track. So, yeah, just get into that one. Another one is well-known thrash metal band, Annihilator, with their album called Metal. Yeah, great name for an album, I mean, seriously. Now, most of that album is collaborated with other musicians to come and do, special vocals. So you had Clowns on Parade, or Clown Parade. Then you had Couple Suicide, which featured Angela Gosso, former Arch Enemy, even though I think at the time she was still with Arch Enemy. But they're my two honourable mentions. Right, number 10. Now this is one of those albums where I've only really listened to it a couple of times. No real standout tracks. That's Gods of War by Manowar. Great album cover, of course, done by Kevin Kelly. Number 9 is Framing Armageddon, Something Wicked, Part 1 by Iced Earth. Now this was the second album featuring Tim the Ripper Owens on vocals. He left after this album. The only real standout track for me, even though the whole album is pretty good, the only standout for me was 10,000 Strong. But, it's Iced Earth, it's always been pretty decent. Number 8, Only Inhuman by Sonic Syndicate. Swedish metalcore band. This was their second album. And standout tracks for me on that album is Aftermath and Enclave. The album they did after that, called Love and Other Disasters, was good. Then they kind of changed singers and wasn't as much into them as what used to be. Alright, number 7. Now, even this is one of my favourite bands, I haven't really listened to it enough to get a standout track, but you're looking at Systematic Chaos by Dream Theater. Now, good album. Anything Dream Theater technically is a good album, but this was the actual time they came to Australia for the first time to tour, and that was the first time I ever saw Dream Theater live at the Horn Pavilion here in Australia, up in Sydney there. So, that was pretty good. Mike Portnoy's drum kit is huge. Now, number 6. Again, I listened to it a few times. No real standout tracks. But number 6 is The Way of the Fist by Five Finger Death Punch. Almost sounds like a porn video, doesn't it? That's just my dirty mind. Alright, now number 5. Great band here. 9 Destinies and a Downfall by Serenity. Now, it's the only album that featured Monica Peterson on vocals. They like to go through their vocalist, Serenity, similar to Exandria, but, But the two standout tracks on this were actually the 2 singles they released, The Other Side and My Mind's Eye. But, yeah, definitely a pretty good album. Right, number 4, great album, Australia's very own Airborne with their album Runnin' Wild. Now, it's the whole album is pretty good, so that's the honourable mention for that. My third standout track for me was Diamond in the Rough. Number 2 is Runnin' Wild, and my favourite is Too Much Too Young Too Fast. Now, this was their second album, but it was the one that made them big. And the video clip for Runnin' Wild is fantastic. There's a semi going down the road The boys are playing in the back, which is great. But the driver of the semi is none other than the great, or the late, the great Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. So that was freaking awesome. No, number 3. Another one of my favourite bands here. United Abominations by Megadeth. The honourable mention for this one is Sleepwalker. The whole album's pretty sweet. Very political though, I think. Number 3 is United Abominations. Number 2, A Tout Le Monde. And number 1 is Gears of War. Now this version of A Tout Le Monde, the original one was on the album Euthanasia. Now this one they redid, this time featuring the Lakuta Coil female vocalist Christina Scabia. So they did a video clip for it too. So whole album is good, and that song is made even better. I didn't think they could beat the original, but they did. Right, number 2. I dedicate this one to my friend behind the camera, Rex, because we both love this band and we both love this album with a passion. And that is The Heart of Everything by Within Temptation. Definitely my favourite album from these guys. Not the album that got me into them, but definitely their best album. So the whole album is fantastic, but standout tracks are Frozen, Howling, and for once an actual ballad, total piano acoustic song called Forgiven. If you ever get a chance to listen to that album, definitely have a look. It's fantastic. Number 1. It's another album that Rex and I really like, but a lot of my other friends who are into this band really like as well. Dark Passion Play by Nightwish. Quite possibly the most well-known and popular symphonic metal band from Finland. And it is the first album featuring Annette Olsen on vocals and Troy, I can't even pronounce his last name, on pipes and tin whistle. But Troy is now a permanent member of the band. Unfortunately, Annette moved on. But top 3 tracks for me in this are all singles, and they released it as videos as well. The Islander, totally acoustic number with Marco, the bass player, doing all the vocals. Number 2 is Bye Bye Beautiful. They kind of deny it, but everyone knows it's written about their previous vocals. What's her name? Tarja Turunen, about her attitude, and yeah, we won't go into that. But number 1 is still today my favourite Nightwish song, and that's Amaranth. So yeah. But anyway, that's my top 10 for 2007. Now, unfortunately, I have to end this one on a somber note. Now, some of you may or may not have seen on the news that we lost a great man, nay, a legend, recently. The great Akira Toriyama. Now, for those of you who do not know, he was the creator of the one and only Dragon Ball. As in this, I've got all my Goku Funko Pops here. He created Dragon Ball, which then became Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super. I've watched most of all those TV series, just a bit behind in Super. I only watched a few movies, but they're all great. And I would like to say thank you to Akira for making Dragon Ball and one of the most brilliant and exciting, fun-loving anime series ever. Because people of all ages, whether me as an adult or watch it when I was a young kid, used to watch it, absolutely loved it. So rest in peace, Akira. But on that note, my fellow metalheads, until next time, mosh on.